Missed out on the SEO event of the year? Don't worry, I got you covered. The 12th annual SEO Rockstars was a smash hit, and now you can relive every moment with the comfort of your own space. Introducing the SEO Rockstars 2023 video recordings. Get ready for a digital SEO revolution. Witness the genius of the industry leaders like Dory Friend, Techabytes, and more. They share the strategies that can transform your SEO game. With a few clicks, you can access these individual insights whenever you want. Don't miss out on this golden opportunity to supercharge your SEO skills. Be the SEO rockstar that you were meant to be. Visit SEORockstars.us and grab access to these remarkable video recordings today. Hey, what's up everyone? Happy Friday. Stefan, my man, what's up? Man, I'm feeling good today. I got a new cut. Got a nice fade going on here. Loving it. Today we'll be talking about enterprise SEO. Hard truths about enterprise SEO with Charles Taylor. Charles is from Fox Corporation. He does Fox.com, I believe FoxNews.com, all the websites by Fox Corporation. He does the SEO he's a senior director. So that'll be cool. I've actually started this show interviewing enterprise SEOs. As you know, that I've been in enterprise SEO for over 15 years now. I just kind of now started consulting with local enterprise startups, doing a mixture of things now and running this show as well. Don't be shy, guys. Let me know where you're watching from. Say hi in the live chat. See Charles in the back already. Charles, my man, how are you doing?
Hey man, how's it going, Joey?
Doing good, doing good. Looking good, brother. Love it. We got people coming in already. We have Freddie here. What's up, Dre and Charles? Logan says, yo. This is going to be an exciting episode, guys. I have Charles Taylor. You can see him in the back. We talk about the hard truths about enterprise SEO. As you guys know, I started my career in enterprise SEO. I've been doing it for over 15 years now, and just the past year, just started consulting for startups, local businesses. So this is where the show actually began. I was actually interviewing enterprise SEOs in the very, very beginning, and transitioned to a bunch of local SEOs and technical SEOs. We're going back to the roots today with Charles from Fox Corporation. So you handle Fox.com, FoxNews.com, any Fox.com?
Yeah, I'm into all of it.
Love it. Don't be shy, guys. Say hi in the live chat. Charles, where are you calling from?
Oh, I was on mute. I'm in New Jersey.
Oh, New Jersey. Love it. So it's like mid-afternoon already.
Yeah, 3 o'clock, almost end of the day. So
love it. So do you work
great
remote?
way to end the day.
Or are you actually?
Yeah, I'm remote most of the time. I'll go into the city. So we're based in the city.
Okay.
I go in about once a week, give or take. It depends on what's going on.
Nice. Was that the same even before the whole thing where we had to work from home, or was that kind of like what happened after, like you kind of going in once a
I
week?
actually started working for them during the pandemic.
Oh.
Before I worked
okay.
for Fox, I was with Verizon. And they had one of their main offices is like 20 miles up the road. So I went in the office all the time there.
Got it. Love it.
From what I've heard from the few people I know that still work at Verizon, they are trying to get people back in the office. Not successfully though.
I wonder how that goes, because I actually, once I went in for the office for a while. They were kind of doing like half and half, but I don't know what Workday was ended up doing at that time.
Yeah, most people seem to be on some kind of hybrid.
Yeah.
Where they'll go in a couple times a week at the most. I think in general, a lot of companies are having trouble, especially larger organizations are having trouble getting people to show back up.
Yeah.
Regularly.
Unless you're like Elon and just, hey man, if you don't come in, consider yourself fired.
Yeah, I think a lot of companies are going to start doing that over the next year or so. I think the only thing that's stopping them is, economics.
Yeah. I mean, I personally love going to the office at the time that there's office culture. My office was kind of like only 20 minutes away, so it wasn't that bad either. So I can go back home if anything happened. But yeah, the office culture was awesome at Workday. It was really, really good people. It's like, just being around people, playing ping pong, getting some exercise in.
You also have an opportunity for these like serendipitous events that happen in an office that never happen remotely.
Yeah.
Like you just happen to hear someone say something over the cubicle wall, and you're like, "Wait, what are you talking about?"
Yeah.
And then they tell you, and like, "Oh, that's important. We need to deal with that."
Yeah, no. Like I remember when we were all into like when Robinhood just was hot, we were like everyone's like picking their picks. Oh wait, what you got? You guys were making money all together when we were the Robinhood app, like talking our cubicles. So it was kind of fun. Yep. Guys, don't be shy. I see a bunch of you out there. We're gonna be talking. Get your questions ready. Today we'll be talking about hard truths about enterprise SEO. We'll try and touch upon how SEO is done within technical content, how you get things done, budgets, all that great stuff. We'll cover today for you guys to anyone that's starting to get into enterprise SEO or want to get into enterprise SEO. Get your questions ready. It is a lot different than an SEO consultant or someone that's working just as a consultant outside, because in-house. Because yeah, Charles, you've been an in-house enterprise SEO for both Verizon and Fox, right?
Yes. Before I was with Fox, I was with Verizon for a little over 5 years. Mm-hmm. Then before that, I was with an e-commerce company that started out pretty small, then got pretty large. We had about 15 websites by the end. Before them, I was with LexisNexis. Actually, specifically, I worked for Martindale Hubbell, which was a division of LexisNexis. We did like lawyers. I think they own lawyers.com, if my memory serves me correctly.
Nice.
We did lots of legal work. So I started my SEO career, professional career, at in-house with enterprise, and then I went back to that after a few years.
Got it. Love it.
I think there's a lot of lessons that enterprise can learn from independents and vice versa.
Oh, yeah.
I think that it's the same SEO. It's a lot of the same processes. There's just some things that we can do that a small organization can't do, and vice versa. Small organizations, they can run rings around us if they really want to.
Yeah.
We just can't change fast enough.
Love it, guys. That's just a taste of what we'll be talking about today. So get your questions ready. We have Carol from Seattle, Washington. Hello, Carol. If you guys are tuning in, we are talking to Charles Taylor of Fox Corporation, the Senior Director of SEO. Hard truths about enterprise SEO. Help you get us going. If you want to learn a little bit more about it, dabble into changing your career and get into enterprise SEO. Ernesto, yo. And for you guys that don't know, I have a series of speakers that are coming in from the SEO Spring Training speaker lineup. Charles will be speaking at SEO Spring Training, right? You'll be there. SEO Spring Training is in April. Be sure to get your tickets at SEOspringtraining.com. Fletcher, ready to learn about enterprise SEO. What's up, Fletcher? All right, so we got less than 1 minute to go. So, Charles, I'm going to put you on mute real quick. I'll introduce you about 8 minutes after the hour, and right after I kind of go over the few videos I found over the internet the past week.
No problem.
All right, guys. Get your last shout out in, and I'll see you on the other side.
get it started, no delay, let's work. Wanna see you be an SEO expert. Paul Andre De Vera, steady dropping knowledge, over 15 years in the game, so he knows all about it. Master the art of SEO, you will be amazed. Time to get your brand off page to on page. Dropping knowledge, legendary for sure. Whether you're just getting started or self-employed entrepreneur. Yeah, let's go. Subscribe to the SEO video show.
Hey, welcome to another episode of the SEO video show where SEO is alive and fun. My name is Paul Andre De Vera, aka Dre, and I curate SEO videos released in the past week into about 1-minute clips. My favorite part of the show is when I get to introduce my guest, and my guest this week is the one and only Senior Director of Fox.com of SEO, Charles Taylor. Before we get started, let's say what's up to everyone in chat. I see Fletcher, Ernesto, Carol, Kenneth, Logan, Freddie, Stefan, Luther, what's up? What's up, everyone? Please become a supporter of the channel by just liking, subscribing, and hitting that notification bell. Now let's get on with the show.
Hey Dre, why do they call it the Mini Panda Update? Because it finds content that's a little bare.
Google had a bunch of documentation updates on expanding markup support for organization details, including logo structure data, discussion forum and profile page markup, and profile page structure data. Google Search also makes use of this markup when disambiguating the creator and in features such as perspectives and discussions and forums. I talk about creating content to increase your chances to get discovered in the new Perspectives feature in the new SEO in 2024 by Majestic. The book is coming out in about 2 weeks, so be on the lookout. Three ways to improve page speed by Martin Splitt. Let's check this one out.
A big contributor to performance problems are images. When you optimize images, you may see substantial improvements in page performance. Optimizing images means using modern formats like WebP or selecting the right settings for JPEG encoding. To do so, try Squoosh.app to play around with different settings and formats for an image and see how the image looks. Then you may use other tools to apply the settings to all relevant images. In your website's code, you can use the source set attribute on image elements or the picture element to provide different devices with the best image for their users. Many websites also use plugins or third-party scripts to do things like showing an image carousel or creating widgets on a page. And these scripts sometimes drag a lot of data over the network and make the browser wait for them to finish their setup, even if the widget doesn't appear on a page. To find these scripts, you can check out Lighthouse when it shows unused JavaScript, or you can use the network panel in the browser DevTools to find scripts that take a long time and then check with developers if all of these scripts have to be there. Last but not least, you can use lazy loading for a lot of the content that isn't immediately visible when a user visits a page. For images and iframes, this can be done by adding the loading equals lazy attribute to the HTML elements.
One problem I come across enterprise sites is marketing scripts. I highly recommend auditing your conversion pixels and marketing tags. I mean, you'll be surprised how many old, outdated tags there are from like previous marketing teams. Okay, does blog post word count really matter? The guys over at Income School share their thoughts. Let's check this one out.
Whenever I start off writing a blog post, I find my kind of high-level answer, but then what do I do is I think through what are the main points that I need to make to give somebody a good enough answer to this question. I just write out like what those main points are. Then I can like wordsmith those and turn them into subheadings. But having that outline, now I know these are the points I need to make. And then under each one, I just write enough information to make the point, and that's it. So I am not thinking like when I start a blog post, this is gonna be a 1,200 word blog post. I'm thinking these are the points I need to make, and then I write. And when I'm done, I'm like, oh yeah, that ended up about 1,300 words.
Now, to make that process a little bit easier, do good research.
Yeah.
If you know the topic of the blog post kind of before you go into this process, the time is going to be so much faster and easier to get this done.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have a pretty good idea of what people's question are, kind of their main question, and then what their following questions will be.
A great research tool to find points or subheadings or new questions is also ask.com. And Mark, a past guest here on the show, on SEO Video Show, has a 50% off special that ends today. So go check out also ask.com today. With today's focus on enterprise SEO this week, here are some fundamental steps for SEO project management success by Crawling Mondays. Let's check this one out.
Document. Sorry, I love documentation. And so I think that's really one of the biggest things. That's always going to be my first tip is just, you've got to write documentation. It's probably one of the least fun parts, but also saves you so much time later. And then also, as you're building those types of like best practices documentation, don't feel like you have to reinvent the wheel. Some of it already exists, right? There's a ton of resources that you have, Aleda, in learning SEO. There's a lot of things out there, but documentation is always going to help. Using the Google search web guidelines is huge. So documentation is definitely my number one step.
So my experience of being a PM in a company that tries to sell to SEOs is interestingly, you need to actually deprioritize your SEO skills and dial up your communication, dial up your business savviness, dial up your ability to talk and dial up your ability, and you need to be able to listen, right? Because I find throughout my career, I spend a lot of time talking at people, okay? But when you're in a PM, your job is to solve people's problems.
Documenting and creating internal SEO resources is gold when it comes to SEO within a company. In the past, I've created company branded SEO learning videos that I would upload into our Workday learning management system. I mean, this is like something that we can talk more about with our guests today. How to secure and defend your SEO budget for executive buy-in by Will Critchaw shares his tips. Let's check this one out.
Loss aversion is a really big psychological thing. We mentioned the uncertainty in the market, both on the Google side, on the economy side, and rather than telling the story of how you're going to, double-digit percentage growth, bust the targets year over year, whatever, having the confidence that we're going to avoid, if we don't do this, we will fall behind the competitors in these ways, and those kind of folks will spend to avoid the loss. And
let's ask our guest today how he secures budget. Please ask questions on the order that they and I'll address them in the order that they receive. But before we introduce our guest, here's a word from our sponsor. Ever wondered how to get your brand noticed? I found the answer with Magic PR. Thanks to Magic PR, my brand now reaches over 300 plus premium news and media outlets. I've seen my news on AP, Bloomberg, Yahoo News, and many more. And it's not just about visibility. With Magic PR's unique SEO process, I've noticed incredible boost in traffic to my site and improved local and organic rankings. From crafting the perfect press release to building a powerful SEO campaign, Magic PR is always there for me. Want to experience the magic of PR? Try Magic PR just like I did. Watch your business reach new heights. Charles has been actively involved in online marketing since the year 2000. For the past 15 plus years, he specialized in SEO. He has been the SEO manager at Verizon. He is currently the senior director of the SEO at Fox Corporation. He's an SEO speaker and co-host of the SEO Fight Club. He has been able to reveal truth about Google's algorithm through testing. Please welcome Charles Taylor. Charles, my man, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks a lot for having me, Trey.
Everyone, let's give a round of applause. All right, Charles, I'm going to get right into it. This is the first question I ask all my SEO professionals that come on here. In 1 minute or less, how does Charles get ranking on page 1 of Google?
Well, we have a large group of journalists and editors who are constantly scanning what is the news of the day, from general news to business news to sports news to local news. What is the news of the day? They're watching our competitors. They're watching Google Trends. They write articles that are well optimized on those subjects that try to answer the questions that people have. Then we simply distribute it into our network, and it will invariably, not always, but usually show up at the top of Google within the top stories widget.
Love that first knowledge bomb of today. Hold on, Charles. Let's rewind this real quick. Take us back to year 2000. How did you first get into online marketing and SEO?
So yeah, I think most people get into SEO by either inspiration or desperation. Mine was more of the desperation side. I did a lot of online selling. I didn't start out in the not only did I not start on SEO, I didn't even start out technical. I originally went to school to become a chef. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, but I ended up getting involved in online selling, the early days of Amazon and eBay. And I had a few hiccups with PayPal occasionally and account issues. And I said, well, that's it. I'm going to make my own website. I'm going to show these guys. I'm going to build my own website. So I built it, and I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't get a lot of traffic. So someone told me I needed analytics on my site. So I put analytics on my site. And then I saw a line item that said organic traffic. Now, those days it was Alta Vista and Yahoo and whatnot. And I said, well, what is this organic? What is that? And I started doing research, and I realized that, wow, I can get free traffic to a website. And it was love ever since then.
Love that. Okay, so now you saw that, and you found out what you want to get into organic traffic. So how'd you learn it?
So I just started building sites, and I kind of went the black hat route my first several years. I had at any point in time 15 sites. I'd have 5 of them I was slowly building up. 5 of them were doing well, but then I'd always have 5 of them that were slowly crashing and burning. So I did that for several years, and I got exhausted. I said, there's got to be an easier way to do this. And I don't know why I did it, but I started to think to myself, maybe someone will pay me to learn SEO. So I'm not learning it on my own dime. And there was an advertisement for a company called LexisNexis. They were looking for people in the legal space. And I'm like, yeah, sure. Why not? Let me give it a shot. And I found that my personality and my skill set fits perfectly in large organizations. And I've been in an in-house SEO and specifically enterprise ever since.
Love that. So what's some of your resources? So you said someone paid, you had like the company paid for certain things. So like, what are some like the early resources that you were like learning it?
Yeah, in the early days, it was the SMXs, the SES. Okay. I remember we did, you had Will Critchlow there on earlier. I did several of the Search Love and Link Love seminars that they did. Great stuff. Although I will say I found over the years, and this was around, I'd say maybe 2015, 2016 at the absolute latest, I started getting very disillusioned with SEO. I'm like, all right, I don't really know if I worked for an e-commerce company at the time, and we had about 15 sites, and I saw that same pattern I saw when I had my own sites. Some were doing well, some of them weren't doing well. And I'm like, same platforms, same tech, same SEO, same everything. Why aren't all of them doing well? And I started becoming very disillusioned with SEO, and I almost left the industry back then. And I happened to see a talk by Kyle Roof where he talked about testing, and that it was like, it's going to sound almost evangelical. I saw the light, and I'm like, there, you really can know. And I kind of slowly, nothing against the Moz and the SMX and the SDX, nothing against those folks, but I found that they weren't really taking in a scientific approach. So I definitely started changing my strategy, and that really changed not only myself, but my career, my trajectory.
Love that. Yes, definitely. When I found that video of Kyle, was an SEO Rockstars, kind of sharing all that stuff. It really kind of changed how I started doing SEO myself as well as enterprise SEO, because I was an in-house person. But yeah, it definitely opened up your eyes. Yeah, lovely. I actually thought it was like my secret weapon. Like, ooh, let me keep this to myself. I didn't want to share that information. But yes. Okay, so let's get into the topic of enterprise SEO. So I was like we were talking about earlier in the pre-banter that I actually started the show by interviewing other enterprise SEOs because they were like some of my colleagues. I'd always see them at SMXs and all these other conferences. So hey, when you want to I was able to network with them. So we're going back to our roots here. But for those that we haven't talked about enterprise SEO for quite some time now. So for those that are just kind of tuning in, what unique challenges do enterprise companies face regarding in-house SEO compared to like other businesses?
So enterprise has a lot of unique, not only challenges, but benefits. So in the 1 minute or less, I gave a very succinct, here's how you rank. And it sounds, it's super simple, but most people listening are like, you can't do that. You can't just post an article and suddenly have your rank. And that's true. Even a large organization can't as well. But the benefits of a large organization is we can create systems that take advantage of our scale. The challenge on the reverse side is because we have so much scale, it's hard to change things. So a great example was this week, Google came out and has new guidance on profile page schema and organization schema and form schema. If I had a small website, I could sit down for an evening, reprogram the WordPress or however I was using, and it'd be fine. That doesn't work like that in enterprise. Now I have to build out the specs. I'm going to have to talk to teams and figure out who can do this. I'm going to have to make sure I have the right people working on this. It has to be prioritized against a dozen other projects that are being undertaken at the time. And so it's a much longer process. The benefit, though, is once we roll it out, it'll be rolled out across tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of pages. And now that's, again, where the power of the enterprise comes in. But we definitely can't move quickly.
Love that. Love it. So can you kind of explain your current SEO team setup, if you even have a team, or like, some SEOs are like the lone person, but actually like the quarterback to doing a lot of things. Can you kind of describe the team at Fox?
Yeah, I mean, so in enterprise, teams are always a little different. They end up being part of different groups. I know at Verizon, we actually moved. Our team moved from group to group several times throughout my time there. They end up getting merged with other teams and pulled apart from other teams. Right now, the way we operate is it's myself. I have several people that function under me, that they work on specific brands. I then interface with any large organization. Like, it's not all just top down. It's not this person works for that person who works for that person. It's usually siloed. And that's same. Fox is the same way. So I have to interface with other SEO teams where they don't report to me directly, but I guide them on here's how you get things done. I always say that when you're in enterprise SEO is all about data, decks, and specs.
Yep.
I'm creating the guidance for everybody else. And I have to make sure here I have to figure out how things work. And then I have to make sure I document that. And then I have to be able to show, here's how it works. Here's how we know it works. And here's how you can replicate that in other places.
Love that. Love that. So I want to go, when you talk about data specs, was it data decks and specs?
Decks and specs.
I love that. I love that. Because I mean, it literally is for those that are wondering about enterprise SEO. And how often would you meet with teams? Like, how often would you kind of like have to let's say, whether it's like reporting, or if it's like new campaigns, if they want to get certain things going?
So that's, so in the old days, before COVID times, it was great. Everybody was in the same office. You could just walk over to people's cubicles or desks and talk to them. And yeah, there were always formal meetings. You had weekly meetings with different teams. But for the most part, you were always in communication. Now you have to be a lot more deliberate, and it's a lot easier to lose track of other teams in this, post-COVID hybrid model where even if I'm in the office, obviously I'm not in an office today, but even if I'm in the office every day, not everybody else is in the office. Yeah. And a lot of organizations, especially large organizations, have offices all over the country. So you may not ever see this person, even if you're in the office and they're in the office. They're in California. I'm in New York City. We're never going to see each other. So you have to make sure you have very specific touch points with the different stakeholders on a regular basis. And people don't always want to have meetings. I totally understand that. It's more time out of people's lives. I always try to compile and piggyback meetings whenever possible. But you have to have these regular touch points with your major stakeholders so that you're always in communication, because that's really the key for enterprise SEO. And I would say that this is a key for, even if those of you out there that have agencies, doesn't matter whether it's small or large, it's not about the results often, it's about how well you've communicated the process to your stakeholders and to your clients.
Love that. That's a great tip right there. Because I'm curious now. Let's get into like more of like kind of like the action stuff of like, let's say technical SEO. Like, how do you see as technical SEO different at an enterprise scale versus like a smaller website?
So the technical needs, so the way I approach SEO is I have 4 pillars: technical, content, authority, meaning links, and user metrics. And whenever we have a problem, a new project or a problem, I always approach it in that manner. So yeah, technical is the first thing I attack, because typically, because if you don't have your technical right, it doesn't matter how great your content is or how many links you've thrown at something or what your user metrics are, you're not going to rank well. So to your point, technical is number one thing I always attack. It's not that we're doing different things technically than a small site or even a medium company site is. It's just that what we end up dealing with are scale issues. We end up hitting scale issues, sometimes to our advantage, sometimes not to our advantage. One advantage is Google hits our sites a lot. So if we have a problem with one of our pages, we're going to know about it real fast. If we fix the problem, we're going to benefit from it real fast, whereas a smaller organization may have to wait a day or two to see, is Google going to come back to the page?
Love that. So I'm curious, like, can you share a story if there was one time when you saw Google actually, since it hits your page real fast, where you saw a problem and you're like, oh crap, let's fix this. Like kind of, was there any, like, do you have any stories to share?
We have those things that we have the oh crap moments almost every day.
Man.
Because in a large organization, there's just so many moving parts. There's so many different parts of the website. A lot of the folks out there will have, maybe they have a WordPress site. Well, we have a site that's on WordPress, and we have a site that's on a homespun system. We have a site that's on this, and we have a site that's on that. So there's all these different sites. There's all these different architectures. They're all trying to communicate with each other. And then, of course, there's all these people that are all over the country. Things invariably break. So a great example was we had a problem with one of our AMP pages just this week, and something broke. We saw it immediately that, oh, something broke. We could see in Google that there was a problem. We could roll out the fix relatively quickly, and then we could go to Google and say, all right, validate this fix, make sure that Google sees the change, and we can watch pretty much in real time the search engine coming back and crawling the pages, and then we can see the rankings. So we get that instant gratification, that instant feedback that a lot of medium and small companies will not get.
Love that. And so, because I know you mentioned that, getting things implemented at an enterprise can take a very long time. So like how do you triage that? Like how were we able to push that particular, let's say, problem up the task list?
So we always have a list of items that need to be worked on. And part of my job, a good chunk of my job, is I'm constantly managing this list, curating this list, and putting in order of priority. So there's things that we need to get done within the next couple of weeks. There's things we should be done within the next couple of months. There's things that need to be done at some point in the next 6 months. And then there's items that are just nice to have. But then we have the P0s. And the P0s, priority zeros, are this is broken and it's impacting the search engine. Now, most organizations, when I go into them, P0 in the minds of the organization is users can't see the page. But often when there's a P0 SEO problem, page works just fine to their opinion or to their knowledge. What they don't realize is that Google can't see. And I've had to educate people to realize Google's a super user. They are 25, 35, 45% they're controlling that much of our viewers. So if Google's having a problem, it's a big problem. And so then we get into the outage kind of cycle where I can say, this is a P0, this is an outage, it needs to be fixed. And then the resources are there to fix it.
Excellent.
I love that. Okay, let's kind of get off technical stuff a little bit. Let's get into like your next pillar. You talk about was this content, right? On page. I'm talking about let's talk about on page. So what are some common on page mistakes that you see the enterprise sites doing that impact performance?
The biggest problem I'll find in large organizations is one of two problems. Either people don't want to put words on the page because it's against brand guidelines, or they think legal won't like it. That happened all the time at previous employers where everyone was terrified of the legal department or brand department. We can't put that word. They won't like it. And the first thing I've always done is, do we know they don't like it? And then I always hear back, yeah, they won't like it. I'm like, let's get them on the phone. Let's find out. And 9 times out of 10, actually, I take that back. 99.9% of the time, I'd get the legal team or the brand team saying, yeah, that's fine. We don't care. It wasn't a big problem. So it's either they don't want to put the words on the page, the important content on the page, or on the reverse, sometimes you'll get people that will be the owner of a page or a story, for example, and they'll have heard that, oh, if you want to do well in SEO, you need to put popular keywords. So they'll just start putting keywords in an article that have nothing to do with an article, but they think that's what they're supposed to do because they heard kind of through the grapevine, and we have to jump in, correct them, and say, no, here's how you do it properly. So it can be both directions. It can be people that don't want to do anything, and there'd be people that want to do too much.
Love that. So I'm curious right now, like, since like Fox, let's say Fox .com is like a news site, like a bunch of news articles. Are you optimizing every single news article that comes out? Like, is there like kind of a process before it gets published, or what are some of the pages that you currently like are optimizing content wise? Like, let's say on a news publisher site.
So there is an SEO process for any page that goes live on the website. Any page that we want found, there is an SEO process. Am I looking at every single article that goes out on the various Fox sites, news, business, sports, weather? No, I don't. It's impossible. I couldn't. I mean, that's literally 1,000 plus a day. There's no way you could do that. So the way we have a structure is again, my team is, we're kind of the strategy and guidance, data decks and specs. There is an editorial team that we interface regularly with, and we make sure that they understand the best practices. And we'll find a lot, especially with breaking news type items, it doesn't have to be perfectly optimized. It's not an evergreen. It's not going to be up forever, but we want to make sure that we're seen first. We want to make sure that we're fresh, and freshness is very, very important. We want to make sure we're fresh and relevant. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it does have to be fresh and relevant, and then we'll get the visibility that we need. And then either fortunately or unfortunately in the news business, after 3 hours, no one cares about a story anymore. And it's on to the next story, and then the next story, and then the next story.
Love that. So when you talk about freshness, I see this all the time on news sites. I mean, is this something that you guys, I mean, like, is there something like why news sites do this too? Like they'll publish a blog, but they'll always put updated on the page like a certain time. I mean, is that something that you do like regular? Is that kind of best practices for news publisher sites?
Not only is it best practices, but those exact words are in Google's guidelines. So Google specifically, I've done tests. So this goes back to the testing. I've done testing with dates on articles, and I found, and the funny thing is I found that Google liked to have the word published or updated on the article. If you didn't have it, sometimes it didn't know that was the article, the date of the article, and thought it might be a date within the article, which is two very different things. After learning that, I then went into the Google Docs documents and saw they already said that. I didn't have to test it. Google said this is how it works. And I can confirm that is exactly how it works. One of the other things I've learned speaking with other folks at the various conferences, I'm not a heavy coder, but apparently coding and understanding dates is very, very difficult. So the more explicit you can be with the dates of the articles on your page, the better, meaning have it explicitly placed in the byline, have it in your schema, make sure that it's in your XML sitemap. And then here's a real important point, make sure all three of those dates have to align and have to be the same date and time. You don't want them having different dates and times. Google will get confused and they won't know what to do with it.
Love that. So when let's say when you like let's say for example a WordPress site, you put publish and it's published a certain time, but you update it. So are you actually updating that publish stamp, or are you adding the updated?
Yep. So so every article, and I would recommend anybody that has a WordPress, a blog, or anything where they're doing articles, you should have a byline. Google specifically calls out bylines for articles in its documentation. And especially with this new profile update they've done, it's clear that Google's trying to identify people and articles. They want to make sure that people and the articles are the same. For those of you that haven't seen the news about Sports Illustrated, they ran afoul of that, where they had creating some fake people, which I would never recommend doing. But have a byline. And what should be in a byline? A byline doesn't have to be complicated. By Dre, by Charles, by author name, or edited by author name. And then you can have published and then the date. Or you can just have updated and then the date. What we do in our byline is we have published and then a date, and then we have an updated if there's an update done to the article. I don't think there's a magic rule. The key is you have a byline and it has that author information and date information in it.
Love that. Great knowledge bomb right there. Okay, so I'm curious with on-page, how you guys, is there like a certain like template, or like you said, there's like a process. So like, is there in that process or template, are you telling them to like make sure you link out to other pages, like internal links, or like kind of like make sure you use some subheadings or anything like that? I mean, like what's kind of your like this template process that they go through?
So every site has a different kind of process assigned to it. They're similar, but they are different. So we have a CMS, and it requires a headline and a stand first for the article, an initial summary and descriptions, and then obviously the article. So there are certain fields that the editors have to fill out, and that helps us towards getting in the right direction for SEO. And my guidance has always been a well-written article will often be a well-optimized article. Not always, but often. It's not always the same, but often they overlap to each other. And then we have specific guidance to the teams to let them know, say, okay, depending on what you're talking about, you do want to link out. We have a specific number of links they can and cannot use. So we have to give them specific numbers, because you can't just say do what feels right, because that doesn't mean anything to most people. We give them guidance as if you're talking about a specific event, you can link to another article. If you're talking about something general or higher level, maybe you're linking to a category or a person page. So because it's important. Are we linking to other articles? Are we linking to evergreen pages? And we have to give people the guidance to understand what to do. And obviously it's going to work differently for news, business, weather, sport. All these different sites work a little differently, but we do give them guidance to understand how they should be linking. And they, for the most part, they usually do a very good job.
Love that. We got our first question from the audience. And guys, if you guys in the audience, go ahead and please start asking questions that I will address them in the order that they received. The first one is by Stefan. Hi, Charles. What do you do if there's no author bio provided for most of the articles?
So what you don't do is what Sports Illustrated did, and I'm gonna bash them a little bit, where they created people and they created a picture and they created a fake profile and assigned it to the article. And then if you're gonna do that, okay, guys, if you're gonna do that, don't use a picture that can be reverse image searched on the web and then find the website that's selling the image. Don't do any of those things. I would create. I don't see if you've got an article. Let's say you're running multiple websites, affiliate sites, and I've done the same thing. I don't see there's anything wrong with creating a profile, creating a persona. So if you're writing an article about, let's just say, dog care, I could be, Vic the Vet, and Vic the Vet is the profile, and Vic the Vet has a biography, and it's your biography. You're not making things up, but you can create a name or a pen name, for lack of a better term, for the author. We have people who write for us. We have personalities who have very specific handles they use, and they have that personality name, has a Twitter account, has a Facebook account, has all the social profiles. It's not fake, but it's their public personality, not their private personality. And there's nothing wrong with doing that as long as you're doing it for a real business reason. If you're, again, creating fake people with fake bios and fake pictures, that's where you don't want to go, but you can create a persona. Nothing wrong with that.
Love that right there, Stefan. Hopefully that answers your question there. So let's get on to your third pillar of SEO, which is off-page SEO strategies. Kind of present can present some challenges, right, with enterprise sites, and sometimes maybe it's just really easy. Can you kind of share how your off-page strategies are at Fox?
Sure. So the first thing I want to do is just want to correct a little bit. It's not necessarily off-page, especially in enterprise. The internal linking, quite frankly, you can get a lot of power from internal linking in enterprise. And I have found often that internal linking is all we end up needing to do with enterprise because there's so much authority on these sites. So that's why I always call my third pillar authority. It's not necessarily external, although I do want to talk about that. We'll talk about that in a few seconds. But it's making sure that, are you linking effectively within your site? And when you have an enterprise site, if you have inefficient linking, if you're linking to pages that you don't care to rank, well, why are you linking to them? Because you're just bleeding authority from all your pages. So you have to be very, very careful. You've got this powerhouse and you want to make sure, a lot of folks think just link every place. No. Only link to the things you want to link to. And there are different strategies and tactics you can use to make sure that Google's passing the authority properly. Now, external linking for sites, again, enterprise, it's a little bit easier. So when I was with Verizon, we could do a press release and it would get picked up by major news outlets within seconds. So it really, so it wasn't hard. What we found difficult though is making sure the folks that are writing the press release were writing them in a manner that was help us out SEO wise. They would love to add link. They'd add either too many links or not enough links. We'd have to explain to them, no, let's link here using this kind of anchor text. Don't do these kinds of links. So there was a lot of education that was required. So the linking, the physical acquisition of links was very easy. Just like when I was talking earlier about physically getting to the top of Google was easy, but setting up the process to get there is where the work is.
Love that. And setting up that process, what was your fourth one is, what you said, user signals?
User metrics.
User metrics.
Yeah, user metrics.
Can you talk about your user metrics then?
Yes. So I've talked about user metrics for years. I've always believed they're part of the algorithm, but I could never prove it. It was wonderful when I started hearing folks like Marlino talking about user metrics and being able to show that, yes, they do actually take part in it. Google's the release just recently with Google's from the Google versus the DOJ that you look at metrics. And I think the key with the metrics is, one of the things I've always explained to folks is, even if Google, because we still don't know exactly what metrics they're using. Well, we know some of them, but we don't know all the metrics they're using. So my standpoint's always been improving your click-through rate, reducing your bounce rate, increasing your engagement rate. Even if it doesn't help your SEO, it's still good for your business. You still need to make sure you do it. So that's the kind of the why I still do it. Even if Google came out and said, yep, we definitely don't do it, and we could prove through testing that there's no user metrics involved in the algorithm, I'd still have that as a pillar because it's not going to hurt us. You're not throwing money down a bottomless hole.
Love that. And so how are you like at an enterprise level, like kind of increasing these user metrics? Let's say like, CTR, like, yeah.
Yeah. So one of the simple thing we do is, we explain we make sure our editors understand the difference with headlines and titles. Now, to you and I, that makes perfect sense. It's, we think, oh, there's a title tag and there's a headline on the page. That's simple enough. But to the typical non-SEO, they think it's the same thing. And we explain to them, no, the headline is there. It needs to be, I don't want to say clickbaity, but it needs to be enticing. There needs to be the USP, the unique selling proposition. Why should someone, go and read this article? That needs to be in the headline. But it still needs to be optimized. We need to make sure the primary optimization points are still in that headline. And then our title tag, that's where we can go a little heavier with the SEO. So if you're writing an article about, about the Jets, maybe you're just saying, the Jets scored big in the game Sunday or something like that in the headline. In the title tag, we may want to say the New York Jets scored the final touchdown. You'll be a little more explicit in the title tag because that's the SEO factors. That extra little bit of keywords is going to help us a little bit more with our SEO.
Love that. So I want to go back kind of into like the in-house SEO teams versus like an agency. So how should an enterprise company structure its in-house SEO team roles differently than like say like a standard SEO agency?
So an in-house, the way I would structure SEO is it overlaps a lot of other functions. So I would treat SEO much like they treat like legal or branding. It's, there's no legal team here and legal team there and legal team there. Same with branding. There's no separate brand teams. There's one umbrella that oversees the organization, and then it should really operate like an internal agency. Okay. So we'll just take Verizon for example, previous company. We really should operate. We would want to operate there, and we worked our way to that position. I've heard that's changed recently, but there was a single SEO team. They oversaw the SEO, and then we could have individual managers for the different properties and the different brands. And then the property, the brand, they're the client. They're the internal client for us. And we need to make sure, are we doing everything we can for the internal client? And then the benefit for doing it that way is as an SEO team, we can move people from brand to brand. We can make sure that we have the right fits, both personality and skill and knowledge wise. It gives people a chance to move within the organization, and it gives us the chance to pass knowledge throughout the organization. So this person here and this person here don't know different things. They're being moved around, and we can cross-pollinate knowledge as much as possible.
Love that. Okay, so one of the questions or one of the clips I played earlier today was on budgets. I'm curious, like, how do you deal with budgets? And if you can share, like, I'm curious how big like a budget is spent on SEO, let's say at Fox, because I mean, I know some companies some enterprise companies, you'll be shocked of how small it is compared. But I'm just curious and see how much, like, if you can share.
So. Yeah. SEO budgets are always small, and it's funny. I've been in many organizations where teams will spend literally millions on banner ads and get very little payback for it, and then they'll argue with me about spending $200 a month on Ahrefs or SEMrush or something like that. And I'm like, come on, you're spending $1 million here, and that really goes back to the SEO. The SEO in charge has to make sure they're communicating the value properly, and they're using the words. I always try to standardize the terminology I use so that it's words that the folks are in charge of the budget, so that the C-level execs understand. So, for example, and a great example where I realized years and years ago that again, folks were spending millions of dollars on digital display ads that we know weren't really doing anything. So I would then say, all right, well, what metrics are they reporting? I'm going to use the same metrics. So I started talking about impressions. And so we would launch something and I would say, hey, we got 20 million organic impressions. What would it have cost us to purchase those organic impressions? And then that breaks everyone's brains like, oh my God, how much more valuable is that?
Damn! Yes, love that. I actually didn't think about that one too, because sharing by impressions and how much that would cost. Because I would go by maybe keyword, the CPC's value, probably I go that route. But impression wise, that's actually a good one, guys. So I'm curious, so let's say, if you got pushback on any budgets, like how did you show, what are things were you able to show, do you have to pay for other things? What does your SEO budget usually cover at
So I have to say I've never really gotten any major pushback on budgets. I have been described by VPs above me. I'm like a dog with a bone. I get into my mind, I want something, and I'll just fight for it, and I'll just keep pitching and making the case until I just wear people down. I don't know if that's helped or hurt my career, but it's got me this far, I guess. But when I get the pushback, typically what I'll do is, again, I always start back and say, all right, if we had to pay for the impressions example, if we had to pay for these impressions, what would it have cost? Can you show me a digital display campaign that got us the same number of impressions? And then I'll ask, because I always ask questions. I don't dictate. I ask questions. Let people come to the decision themselves. If I give them the answer, now they have to argue against my answer. If I give them the information, then they can arrive at the same answer. So I'll ask them, what would the cost have been? And then I'll ask, what would the actual traffic have been from a campaign like that? And I'll ask, oh, you've got 20 million over there too, and you spent X number of dollars to do that. How many clicks did we get? How many signups, how many conversions did we get? How many signups did we get? And we know the answer. I asked that question because I already know the answer. You got very, very few. And then I can say, from the 20 million that I got, these are the clicks and these are the conversions and these are the sales. So I can show that full value funnel. And then once I do that once or twice, folks stop kind of really arguing about me with the numbers. That's the key with internal SEO. And I would do the same thing if I was an agency. Know your numbers. Numbers are power.
Love that. And are there any tools that you use to measure, like within your enterprise? Like, are you using tools like, let's say, Visible that can attribute, let's say, SEO traffic or anything like that? Or is it just Google Analytics? Or what are some tools that you
Whatever
use?
Whatever analytics package they have, get to know it. So typically I work with Adobe. Most of the enterprise sites I've ever worked with use Adobe. I've worked with them back when they used to be called Omniture. So I've gotten to know it pretty well. It isn't easy to work with. Every place I always have worked at, it's set up differently. And so I always become very good friends with the analytics team, with the business intelligence team. Immediately, they're the first people I seek out, and I want to become friendly with them. Because typically they have all these answers, and no one, they're kind of like an SEO teams, and sometimes they have all these great answers because they have the data, and no one will listen to them. So here I come, and I'm willing to listen to them, and they just open the floodgates in the vault for me, and then I can see everything I need. And typically they help me set up the reporting that I need to set up, and here's how you show these specific numbers.
Love that. And so now you actually like you mentioned, you manage multiple properties. I mean, like if you could give some advice to someone that wants to, like, say, at a large site with an umbrella of different sites. I mean, how would you like orchestrate that? Because I mean, you do strategy, so you actually are there like other teams on each site that are SEO teams there that you kind of like? Can you kind of describe some of your structure and advice on how you do that?
Sure. So managing it. So the interesting thing with enterprise, and I'd say it probably happens every place, is that there's always one behemoth property. And everybody wants to focus on that property. And they want to ignore the number 2 and the number 3 and the number 4. I don't like doing that. But if you start saying, I want equal SEO every place, you make people nervous. Communication and consensus building is so huge for enterprise. You can't come in, you can't think you're just going to shake everything up. You can shake things up, but you can't make people nervous. Again, the process is super important. You have to make sure that everybody feels very comfortable with the process. So I'll come in, you help out the major brand. Obviously, you got to help out the major brand. That's the bread and butter. But there are sub brands that you can double, if not triple in size with just a little bit of work. And so that's what we do. We have, I don't want to say shadow programs because it implies something nefarious, but we'll have programs that we won't necessarily announce them from the top of from the mountaintops that we're doing something, but we'll do that. And then once they start producing results, then we show, hey, this small brand that everybody kind of writes off, we just tripled its SEO traffic. Look at all the impressions and look at the value we created. By the way, what would the cost have been if you guys did it in any of your other traditional channels? And suddenly everybody understands the value of approaching and turning around these smaller channels. I've also found that often the smaller properties, the people in charge of the smaller properties, they love the attention because no one else gives them the attention. And it's a great way. You build friends real fast because you're the only one paying attention to them and helping them out. And you're really helping them out. You in some cases, you could be doubling their traffic to the site and you're now their hero and you're now the person that saved them. And they're going to be your number one advocate within the organization, which is exactly what you always want to have in large organizations.
Love it, love it. Okay, guys, I'm coming close to my last few questions here, so be sure to ask them in the live chat. So I want to kind of do some quick actionable takeaways of like how for you to give away for the audience. Like, let's start with on-page optimization. What would be your one quick tip in enterprise SEO for your on-page optimization?
Make sure you have entities and keywords in your title tag, headline, and your first couple paragraphs.
Boom. All right. Your technical SEO tip.
If Google can't see it, Google can't rank it.
Oh man, you're killing it here, dropping all these bombs. Okay, your content strategy, like content.
Content strategy, think of it like a pyramid. You have your headline at the top, that's your primary subject. You have your subheads that should be expanding on the subject, and then the copy under each subhead should be expanding on that subhead.
Love it. And the last one here on authority. You know, like I would call it off page, but it's more on authority. How would you develop your authority here?
Give people a reason to link to your assets. If you build it, they will not necessarily come. Create something that's interesting, that's unique. In the news business, my mindset is create something that every side can point to and say, "See, I told you I was right," and that will get you the link. That'll give you a link graph that your competitors won't necessarily have.
Love it, guys. Again, so I didn't see any other questions come here, but someone may sneak one in. But this is the last question I ask all my SEO professionals that come on here. For someone that wants to get into enterprise SEO, what would your advice be to them?
So 2 steps. I'm going to first answer a question you didn't ask, which is how do you get into SEO? I know most people say build a site. I agree, build a site, but more importantly, monetize it, and then create a financial goal for yourself. So you monetize the site and say, I want to make $5 a month. And then once you make $5 a month, create a stretch goal. I want to make $25 a month. And then learn how to monetize and create money off your own site. The reason why that's important is then when you start dealing with business owners or stakeholders in a large organization, you understand better what their goal is. Their goal, it's not about ranking. It's not even about traffic. It's about monetization and making money. And once you've learned how to do that, and once you've kind of gone through that pain, you have a lot more empathy for them, and you start looking at things from the right point of view. Now, how to get into enterprise SEO in general, it's simple. There are a lot of companies out there looking for people. You may have to start out with a smaller, maybe even a startup. The benefit of working at it with a startup is you could grow, and if that company explodes, you explode with them. It also gives you a great jumping off point to get into the medium and the larger companies, and you can build yourself a name in the industry relatively quickly because we need good SEOs out in enterprise.
Love that. Thank you for sharing. I didn't see any other questions come in, but so for this episode to feel complete for you, please, how can people get a hold of you? Any last thoughts?
Yeah, I'm online. I'm always happy to talk about SEO with folks. If you can Google me, just Google Charles Taylor SEO. You got to include the SEO though, otherwise you'll find another Charles Taylor, and he was nowhere as near as nice as I am. I know Betty doesn't know anything about SEO either. So always happy to chat with folks. I'm on Twitter. I'm usually more active on like LinkedIn. But again, Charles Taylor SEO. You can find me, and when you reach out to me, just let me know that you saw me on on the SEO show with Dre. That way I know it's not spam.
Love it. And guys, you can also watch Charles weekly on SEO Fight Club, and also coming up at if you want to see him live speaking at SEO Spring Training in April 2024 in Arizona, go to SEOspringtraining.com to check him out. And I'm curious, what is your topic at SEO Spring Training you'll be talking about? Do you know that yet or not yet?
I am planning to speak about Discover traffic and the importance of Discover. It's a little known channel that most folks aren't aware of, or folks that are aware of it, they're so convinced that it's all magic and smoke and mirrors that there's nothing they can do. And that's not accurate. There are things you can do. It is very tough. It is a black box within a black box, but you can master it to some level at least.
Ooh, love it, guys. Be sure to check that out. Everyone, let's get a round of applause. Charles, thank you so much for coming on. Can you hold on for one quick second while I sign off here? Just hold on for one quick second.
Not a problem.
All right, guys, that concludes another episode of the SEO Video Show. Please support the channel by liking, subscribing, and hitting that notification bell. It does help the channel. Don't forget to support our sponsors, SEORockstars.us and magicpr.com. And I will see you next week. Peace out. Woo!
Thank you for watching. Hope you come back next week. Make sure to subscribe. You don't want to miss a thing. Hope you learn something new, cause the vibe is incredible. From the special SEO professionals, SEO video show, let's work. Want to see you be an SEO expert. Paul Andre De Vera helping you step it up. No delay right now. Time to level up. Hey, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe. Woo!